Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Professor Sides, and this course is Principles of Microeconomics. We are covering Chapter 1, 10 Principles of Economics. Previously, we talked about how individuals or groups of individuals make decisions. Now, we're going to talk about the consequences of those decisions. The next three set of principles that we will discuss, which will be 5, 6, and 7, will discuss when an individual or group of individuals makes decisions, what are the consequences, and that is the interaction. Contrary to popular media reports, trade between countries is not a win-lose sum game. It is a win-win, although some will win more, have a greater gain than others. In economics, the interaction of people, groups, classes, race takes place in the market. There, in the market, you will have buyers, which are the consumers, and they are demanding, making a demand. And then you have sellers, who are the producers who offer the supply. We will talk about this more in detail in chapters 4 and 5 and 6. But for right now, just know that in order for there to be trade to exist, whether the trade is domestically within a country, domestically within a society, or internationally or external of our society, from one society to another, that trade takes place in the market. So two individuals can have a trade, or an entire economy can trade with another economy. And in any event, again, we will talk about this more in detail in chapter 4, 5, and 6. When we talk about, also when we talk about market, we also have to talk about, we're going to talk about market economy. We have market economies, centralized economies. We're not going to talk too much about them, but when we talk about a market economy, we're going to reference the United States, because one, that's what's local to us and what we're familiar with. And then we're going to also, when we talk about market economy, we're making the assumption that that market economy is decentralized. And when we say decentralized, we mean that it's that the government, while the government interacts in the market, the government is not the one who makes the market economy decisions. They don't decide the economic activities. Now, in the United States, we operate in a market economy. There are some who operate in a centralized or hybrid centralized market economy. Countries that come to mind for the hybrid are like China. Cuba would bring to mind more centralized, because the government has a more prominent hand in what is produced and how it's produced. China is moving away from a centralized, and they're moving more towards markets. So right now we would say they're hybrid, because part of their market decisions are made by the government, while others are made by the market. Something else that we should recognize and note is that Principle 6, which tells us that markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Basically, it is this refers to a economic concept or a theory about what we call the invisible hand. And the invisible hand, we'll go again in more detail in chapters 4, 5, and 6. But the invisible hand is what helps us better allocate the resources through market interaction. And when we talk about the invisible hand, basically it is a tool. The tool that we use is price. In the chapters that I told you about earlier, chapters 4, 5, and 6, we will see how the relationship between quantity supplied and quantity demanded and price or between quantity supplied and price, quantity demanded and price, guides the market, and it will either cause a surplus, a shortage, or equilibrium. We will also look later, like in chapter 6 and chapter 10, what happens when the government, also known as central planners, intervene in market activities. This concludes this portion of the lecture. Principle 7 will be in the next portion. I said that erroneously at the beginning of the lecture. Principle 7 will be in our next lecture, and I look forward to speaking to you then.